A story begins with a single red butterfly, a creature said to be brave enough to fly into danger, yet it is always drawn back to its one true flower, for a butterfly cannot exist without its source. But what happens when that source is corrupted by blood? When the flower withers and dies under a red sky, a heavy boot crushes it without a second thought, and a hooded man stands over his grim work in the rain. This body of his victim falls limp to the ground, his hands clenching with a chilling finality, revealing a young man who taunts the fallen. He coldly mocks the crimson tears of his prey, but another hooded person watches from the downpour. This observer steps forward, calling out to him, only to be cornered by a gang of thugs demanding a share. His reputation as the blood-soaked bleacher is known, but the leader scoffs at the warning, unleashing a powerful stream of fire. This attack rushes towards our boy, who stares back with cold, glowing eyes with a simple clench of his fist. His attackers find themselves completely paralyzed as he calmly steps toward them. A terrifying aura manifests behind him and the gang shudders in pure terror. In an instant, he grabs their leader, effortlessly tossing the man aside. Stunned and enraged, the leader vows revenge, revealing the title of the blood-soaked butterfly. Elsewhere, a different trade is finalized beneath towering walls. This MC receives his payment for the hunt, then turns back toward the settlement under a watchful eye. As the soldier Vesta gives him a boisterous farewell, she quickly scolds her partner for judging the kid, a stark contrast to the beautiful world that was lost. In these slums, desperation has a tight grip, forcing children to trade whatever they can find to survive. Our boy remembers this pain, wanting to offer a small comfort, a feeling Vesta shares, wishing she could do more for them. He walks through the rundown streets below the crimson cloud, navigating dark alleys where danger is a constant companion. This tense quiet is suddenly broken by children's shouts, as a small group chases each other through the market. For a brief moment, a gentle smile appears on his face, and the kids rush over to welcome him home, calling him Manny. This hooded youth spots the kids outside, alarmed, quickly pulling the children behind him for safety, demanding to know the stranger's identity. But the children explain the man is a family friend, a chilling smile crossing the stranger's face. He claims he only wanted to protect them from the rain, yet our boy's suspicion does not waver for a second. This man introduces himself as Varen, offering cake with a knife, his eyes glowing as he cuts straight to the point, and Varen agrees to get down to business, revealing his true purpose and offer to end this broken world. He is recruiting for a team of special bleachers, a group dedicated to destroying the agonizing crimson cloud above. This kid is stunned, but Varen insists the cloud can be defeated, offering to protect his siblings if he joins their cause. Varen extends his hand, awaiting an answer. Manny's eyes narrow, weighing the impossible choice. He remembers the endless suffering under the red sky, and his fist clenches with a defiant resolve. Our boy flatly refuses, calling out the threat to his siblings, declaring he will protect them on his own. Varen seems unfazed, telling him to think it over carefully, urging the kid to ask what his soul truly feels about this world. With the offer left open, he turns to leave, but Manny calls out to him with a final demand. This kid lays out two conditions for his departure. First, Varen must take his friends and never return, and as for the second, more important condition, he must leave the cake behind. This recruiter vanishes, leaving the family to their fragile peace. Manny finally returns home, the cake box held tight, where the children immediately apologize for going outside. He pulls them into a reassuring hug, glad they are all safe, offering to share the cake to lift their spirits. And for a brief moment, the room is filled with pure joy. Later that night, they get ready for bed like a real family, finding a rare moment of peace all huddled together. But Manny's sleep is shattered by a memory of calling for his mother in the rain. This terror of that day flashes vividly in his mind, kneeling over a fallen body in a pool of blood, as a mysterious stranger stood over him with an umbrella. A monstrous voice from his past screams that he is not welcome, and he jolts awake from the horrifying nightmare. His eyes open to a new terror as the room is engulfed in flames, while the attackers outside declare they do not care if the kids die too. Amid the chaos, Manny curses under his breath, his siblings screaming at him to run from the blaze. This structure above them groans and starts to crack, and his eyes widen in a moment of pure panic. His other children cling to each other for safety, but his shock quickly hardens into grim determination. With a deafening crash, the ceiling finally gives way, and a crimson light flares in his eyes. This world around them becomes a fiery hellscape, leaving the children to watch in absolute horror. Manny holds back the falling rubble with raw strength, roaring for them to get to safety immediately. A single drop of crimson rain falls from above, revealing the terrifying red cloud swirling overhead. He screams a desperate warning to avoid the rain. Manny shields the children as a dark premonition begins. A single drop from the sky strikes a nearby rat, causing its body to violently twist and mutate, until a hideous monster rises from the filth, roaring. This creature is then engulfed in searing flames, becoming an avatar of pure destruction. In this vision, Manny struggles to hold back the rubble, while Varen's offer echoes in his mind, join him to save them. This weight of the choice crushes him, a demonic hand reaching out, and in his mind's eye he fails to protect them. This ground gives way, sending a child plummeting down, forcing a desperate scream from his lips. Suddenly, a fist connects with brutal force, sending the other hooded youth flying backwards. Manny's eyes burn with a cold, terrifying resolve. This hooded youth is sent flying from the brutal punch, While Manny glares up, his eyes glowing with rage, Varen's taunting words echo in his mind, forcing him to confront his feelings about this world. He vows to show it his full wrath for endangering them. Suddenly, a strange power warps the air around the children, freezing the deadly crimson rain in its tracks. One of the kids stares in disbelief at the impossible sight, but this power is clearly taking a toll on Manny. Just then, the mutated rat from his vision emerges, erupting into a roaring inferno of destruction, leaving the girl with glasses paralyzed with fear, while the other children scream in pure terror. Even the hooded youth can only watch in stunned anger. As Manny realizes Varen was right all along, he realizes he cannot protect them from this world. Not from the agonizing crimson cloud above. This weight of failure crushes him as they sleep, remembering the simple joy he wants for them. A life free from the fear of the red rain, crushed by the weight of the world, he apologizes for his failure. At that moment, a hand grips a sword hilt, arriving just in time. This hooded youth rises, his eyes burning with resolve, forcing himself back to his feet with a grunt. Nearby, a beastly ally mocks a defeated foe, calling out Manny for his apparent weakness. A fiery chasm now separates them all, when a new ally with flowing hair appears in the sky. She calls out the Beastman, declaring not everyone is a monster, unleashing a wave of blue energy against the flames. A glowing blade slices past a stunned Manny. His new attackers are revealed, taunting him from above, as a white-haired woman lands with deadly grace, but a familiar voice cuts through the tension. And Manny stands firm, shielding the children behind him. For Varen has arrived, claiming he is here to help. He declares the danger is over, the rain finally stopping. Yet Manny grits his teeth in silent fury, his fist clenching with uncontrollable power. His children watch in horror as he struggles, but he turns to them asking if they are all right. His eyes fill with regret, apologizing for failing them. They rush to embrace him, calling him their hero. Varen's companions watch the scene unfold unimpressed, while the recruiter himself looks on with a knowing smile. His children stare up at the hooded youth in confusion, while Manny, his crimson arms glowing, offers his thanks. Varen and his crew descend from above, dismissing the gesture. This recruiter adds that their business is not finished yet, leaving the hooded youth completely baffled by the exchange. Meanwhile, the original attackers panic and decide to flee, prompting Varen to order his wolf-eared companion forward. This boy's eyes widen in sudden shock at the scene. A tense standoff forms between Manny and the recruiters, while the woman in their group watches with a cold stare. Varen offers a final warning not to go overboard, and Manny clenches his crimson fist, acknowledging the words. He does not want the children to witness the coming violence, as his true targets are the gang members trying to escape. A dark power glows in his eye, promising a gentle end. Manny's silhouette radiates pure, unbridled fury. This fleeing gang member skids to a halt, deciding to fight, his opponents rallying together to combine their powers. Their leader unleashes a powerful blast of fire, yet Manny catches the inferno with a single hand, his gaze utterly devoid of fear. With blinding speed, he slams his foe into the ground, as Varen's companions watch the brutal display unimpressed. His children cheer for their hero, though one shields a younger boy's eyes, leaving the attackers utterly broken on the ground. Nearby, Varen confirms the hooded youth is safe from the rain's effects, and the girl with glasses approaches Manny with a nervous nod. This recruiter watches her go, remarking how lucky she was to avoid mutation. As the children embrace, a family reunited and safe for now. With the immediate threat gone, he asks Manny for his final decision. Manny watches the scene unfold with a heavy heart, while the other children play, oblivious to the danger. Suddenly, a sharp pain grips his chest, a reaction that does not go unnoticed by the white-haired woman. She whips around, sensing something is deeply wrong, her eyes narrowing with a cold, intense glare. Confused and panicked, Manny wonders what he has done, but Varen explains their wounds were only delayed. Just as he is about to accept the offer, he sees it, his face contorting in absolute terror. This entire group freezes, stunned by the sudden turn of events, and a desperate denial escapes his lips. Naomi looks down to see the crimson rain has struck her leg, shocking everyone into a horrified silence. Her body begins to twist and mutate uncontrollably. A vision shows the girl's arm horribly mangled as she cries his name. Manny screams in absolute denial at the horrifying sight. Lunging forward, he vows he will not let it happen. But Varen grabs him, ordering him to stop right there. Manny demands to know what he has done, while Varen just tells him to watch. Then, with a sudden snap of his fingers, a new power activates. Our boy can only stare in stunned confusion, as a strange energy field envelops the injured girl, who realizes in shock that the pain is completely gone. Exhausted, Manny clutches his chest as the ordeal takes its toll. Her friends rush over, relieved that she is finally safe, embracing her tightly as she tells them not to cry, and she looks up to see a quiet boy standing over her. While the others gather around, asking if she is hurt, he just pats her head in a silent gesture of comfort. One of the kids scoffs defiantly, while a gentle hand reassures the girl with glasses. This children embrace in a relieved huddle as a man with glasses tells a tense Manny to relax. But Manny demands answers, questioning why the girl transformed at all. This man admits there is much they still do not understand about the Crimson Cloud, explaining that even a splash from a contaminated puddle can be dangerous. Still, her localized mutation was highly unusual, prompting the scientists to explain the state of their world. It all began 18 years ago with the Crimson Cataclysm, a permanent red cloud that curses them with deadly rain. To make matters worse, a black fog trapped the country's center, leaving some survivors with strange powers called bestowments, while the unlucky ones become mindless, destructive monsters. These terrifying creatures are known as the Nephilim. This scientist explains bleachers hunt monsters for the army, but Manny just wants to know about Naomi. He clarifies the rain's grim ultimatum, death or mutation, as the children comfort the recovering girl, admitting Naomi's case is an anomaly with no precedent for such a localized infection. For now, the white-haired woman's power has postponed the transformation, much to Manny's surprise. A grateful Naomi thanks her savior, prompting the scientist to invite them all to headquarters. This woman, Dahlia, says it was nothing, promising a doctor at their base can help, which excites the children, who playfully tackle the wolf-eared companion. He is stunned as the scientist reveals the doctor's name is Oz Yuri, while the kids gleefully ride on his back, ignoring his protests. This recruiter cheerfully describes their community at the base, but Manny remains silent and wary. Our boy weighs his options, his expression unreadable. His children run off happily, thanking Big Sis Dahlia again, who watches them with a surprisingly gentle expression. A familiar snap suddenly echoes through the air, and the fleeing children are instantly teleported back onto their beastly companion. These children leap to their sister's defense. But their beastly companion is distracted by cherries, transforming into a larger form to chase the treat, carrying them all away on a wild ride. Back in the ruins, the white-haired woman smirks at Manny, who approaches her with a serious expression. He thanks her for saving Naomi's life, an act she seems to brush off completely. But Manny presses on, needing to say more, pointing out the cut on her cheek. His hand reaches out to help her, but she slaps it away, telling him to back off. Left alone, he watches her disappear into the ruins, his thoughts turning to what is truly at stake. Remembering the home they all once shared, a memory of happier times flashes through his mind, his crimson fist clenching with newfound resolve. Varen looks on, surprised by the sudden decision, as Manny agrees to join if it means protecting the children. With a handshake, he is welcomed to the CCB. Meanwhile, the fleeing gang members complain about their loss. Approaching the black fog despite the obvious danger, a monstrous figure emerges, mocking their incompetence. This men freeze in terror at the sight of the creature, who tells them to run, leaving them to their fate. But then she changes her mind, offering a sinister acceptance, inviting them to become one with her in a terrifying union. Far from safety, the defeated thugs still need a Nephilim to trade, their leader dismissing fears about monsters in the fog. Just as a sharp-toothed beast appears, calling them useless, this fleeing gang members stare in absolute terror, calling out a monster. A shadowy entity simply tells them to run, leaving it to the apostles. But with a wicked grin, it offers to accept them despite their uselessness, extending a terrifying invitation to become one with it. Meanwhile, Manny and the recruiters drive away from the chaos, discussing the custom-made jackets that protect them from the rain. This scientist reveals they'd been tracking Manny and the children all along, explaining that those who survive the rain, known as bleachers, are forever changed. Despite the risks, they are humanity's only defense against the Nephilim, a system Manny knows well, trading monster parts for supplies. But the scientist poses a question: why does not the army handle the threat? This truth is, they have walled off the entire contaminated zone, trapping everyone inside to ensure the bleachers do the dirty work. Varen adds that all bleachers share a common trait, a thirst for violence, warning that over time they all lose their humanity, becoming mindless beasts. Manny stares, the grim reality of his new path sinking in, while Dahlia listens with a cold, knowing gaze. Varen mentions the bleacher who built the wall eventually went mad. This story clearly troubles our boy, but a commotion erupts in the back seat. As the girl with glasses snatches a pipe from the younger kid, she then pats his head, a gentle but firm gesture, and Manny cannot help but crack a small smile. This scientist in the driver's seat notices his change in mood, telling him that is exactly why he belongs with them. He explains the CCB's mission is to save everyone, promising a full briefing once they reach headquarters. Their group is made of both bleachers and regular people, and they are on their way to pick up another member now. But Manny questions traveling through dangerous Nephilim territory. This scientist explains Dahlia's power makes them undetectable, warning the Nephilim from Manny's district are nothing. Their first stop is District F to recruit a new member. Then it is on to headquarters in the dangerous District H. Varen hopes their target has not been slacking off, but Dahlia scoffs, calling the guy a slacker who loves fun. Suddenly, a hard brake throws Manny forward, jolting everyone in the car to attention. Our boy asks what is happening, looking ahead, his eyes widening in complete disbelief, because a strange silhouette is blocking the road. Even Dahlia seems caught completely off guard, while the children stare in wide-eyed shock. Manny's expression hardens, sensing the danger, and Varen grimly says they need to hurry. In the desolate wastes, a vehicle approaches a colossal Nephilim. As a blur of blue light tears through its rocky hide, this energy slicing cleanly across the monster's back. A devastating attack that cuts deep into its flesh. More slashes carve through the beast's massive form, one even passing right through its gaping maw. This creature lets out a final, agonizing roar, revealing a cocky hunter who taunts his prey. He mocks the monster's immense size, then casually steps onto its defeated head, His fist glows with power as he notices an audience, declaring he cannot possibly disappoint them now, seen from within the crumbling Nephilim's perspective. A confident, almost cruel smirk crossing his face. As he channels his power ready for the next fight, a brilliant pillar of energy erupts into the sky, revealing a new bleacher at the center of the blast, who Varen calls the CCB's greatest asset. Though a bit wild, he always gets the job done, landing dramatically as a truck skids to a halt. Varen vouches for his complete reliability, boasting that he is the strongest bleacher there is. This newcomer, Renta, declares it is time for a party. His powerful landing is framed by the screeching vehicle, a man Varen insists they can always count on. With a confident smirk, he is hailed as the strongest around, and Renta announces the dead are about to have some fun. Elsewhere, a cloaked individual enters a candlelit cavern, kneeling reverently before an ancient carving, admitting they are still unworthy to face their master. A cloaked zealot laments a destroyed gift, their monstrous hound trotting forward. As this mysterious master rises to their full, imposing height, turning away, they vow to eliminate the nuisance standing in their way. Then gently pet the creature, telling it to move out. Together they depart on a holy mission, guided by their master's will. An ominous chapter card hints at what is to come. Back with the CCB, they spot a lone silhouette atop a distant cliff, and Manny stares in awe, having never seen such a massive Nephilim before. Renta lands with a heavy thud, explaining this one was special, but he assures them the threat has been handled. Suddenly, two blurs of motion collide in a fierce attack, revealing a white-haired man with a confident smirk. He welcomes his two assailants, claiming he has missed them, but a woman with glowing eyes calls him a liar, while her partner lunges forward, vowing to get payback for their last encounter. Manny tells the others not to feel weak after their training spar. While a spiky-haired bleacher restrains a woman, putting her in timeout, her glowing eyes flare as he holds her captive, just as Renta steps forward asking Varen about the new faces. Before Varen can speak, the two kids eagerly interrupt, proudly introducing their family, Manny, Naomi, and Bo. With a pair of sunglasses in hand, one of them begins the intro. As they both strike a pose for their big reveal, Varen watches the entire display completely unimpressed. But Renta is absolutely loving their energy, especially when the kids break out into a flashy pose. This earns them Renta's enthusiastic applause, who even joins them for a final, triumphant pose. Varen's voice cuts through the fun, demanding a situation report. Instantly serious, Renta grabs the kids, announcing it is time to get to work. Renta declares the district is lost and must be destroyed, a grim assessment that shocks the new arrivals. This red-haired boy looks over the ruins, asking if the fight is over, but Renta explains it was a lost cause before they even arrived. His older companion agrees they must finish the job and move on, a plan the younger boy seems to accept with resolve, until he realizes they intend to destroy the entire district. This man with sunglasses confirms it must be done immediately, leaving the kid to argue in complete disbelief, while the other children ask why they would do such a thing. More survivors join the protest, calling this place a home, their minds flashing back to happier times and celebrations, a community that weathered the red rain together. This boy confronts Renta, questioning his heartless decision, but the powerful bleacher insists this is not what he wants. Manny demands to know what will happen to the people living here, prompting Varen to ask Renta what is wrong. This powerful bleacher senses something approaching fast. Suddenly, the ground begins to rumble and split apart, and Manny races to get to the children. His eyes widen in horror at the unfolding chaos. This earth opens up, swallowing him whole. Varen and the others can only watch in disbelief. As the kids scream his name into the abyss, our boy plummets into the darkness below, while Renta curses, furious at the sudden turn of events. He skids to a halt right at the chasm's edge, yelling at the others to protect the children. An order, he screams with absolute conviction. With grim resolve, he stares down into the pit. Manny awakens in a dark cavern, completely disoriented, as a strange rumbling sound echoes all around him, revealing monstrous silhouettes looming from the shadows above. His first thought is for the children, worried they are scared, their terrified faces flashing through his mind. Overwhelmed with guilt, he apologizes for failing them, but that regret quickly hardens into a burning resolve. And with his power flaring, he roars a challenge into the abyss. This shadowy beasts watch from the darkness. As his own energy crackles with raw power, his motivation fueled by the memory of the kids, a memory of his failure to protect them, now transformed into an unbreakable promise. He will survive this and get back to them, unleashing a furious assault on the encroaching horrors, surrounded by snarling, red-eyed beasts, their monstrous faces close in for the kill. This young fighter is caught, suspended in the air. He remembers holding a fallen red-haired woman, then unleashes his fury in a ground-shattering blow, sending the creatures reeling from the impact, and with a heavy thud he lands on solid ground. A new chapter begins, written in blood and flesh, but a far larger shadow rises to confront him, its massive claw swiping down with deadly intent. His own eyes glow with a fierce red light as he reaches out with a crystal in hand. A strange power connecting him to the beast's core. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the chaos, telling him to stop, and the monster roars, momentarily stunned by the command. This young bleacher unleashes a furious punch, his crystalline fist smashing into a Nephilim's jaw, a brutal impact sending shockwaves through the cavern as he lands hard, bracing against the recoil. He is already panting from the relentless assault, realizing he is completely outnumbered down here. Old wounds begin to ache under the strain, making him question how this is even possible, because a populated district lies right above them. It makes no sense for Nephilim to be nesting underground, especially not this many directly beneath a city. Suddenly, the ground begins to rumble once more, and he struggles to understand what is happening in this place. Just then, a new presence makes its way through the chaos, and as the tremors cease, he sees he is no longer alone. A new voice calls him a troublesome sinner, and Manny accuses the man of harming the children, but the zealot claims he was liberating their souls for his faith. Enraged, Manny demands to know who he is. He notices the surrounding Nephilim are completely docile around this man, who introduces himself as Theo, a loyal apostle spreading his master's love. Theo questions who Manny is to take away the gifts he is given, angrily asking why he'd deny them their truest form. With dawning horror, Manny realizes what these Nephilim truly are, this truth hitting him as he stares at his own glowing fist. He screams that Theo is the one who did this to them, and the apostle calmly confirms it was his master's will. This sends Manny into a blind rage as he lunges forward, but Theo calls him an insolent sinner for questioning a holy command. Manny grabs him by the collar, vowing he will not let anyone else die. Theo sneers that he is liberating souls, not killing them. And with a single flick, he sends Manny flying backward, crashing hard into the cavern wall. Furious, Manny roars that all the apostle has done is shatter the souls of innocent people as he breaks free from the rubble with a defiant gesture. But Theo simply tells him to look up. Speaking of a beautiful crimson cloud above, Manny realizes this man is no ordinary bleacher just as the cavern's ceiling begins to crack apart. With Theo ascending, our boy fears for the children above. Realizing the apostle intends to turn him into a Nephilim too, suddenly a massive pillar of energy erupts from the ceiling, but his eyes glow with a defiant light, and he summons a crystalline shield to meet the blast head-on. Two hulking Nephilim stand guard, one muttering about the weight, when suddenly a powerful bleacher smashes through the cavern wall, declaring he has finally found the one responsible for this destruction. His eyes lock onto the apostle, identifying him as Theo Manberg. And the two newcomers now stand together in the chasm below. This powerful bleacher suspected Theo's involvement but hoped he was wrong, prompting his younger companion to ask if they know each other. This older man explains Theo is a famous bleacher who built the wall, trapping countless civilians inside the contaminated zone. Rumors say he abandoned the army to join the apostles, a revelation that completely confuses the younger boy. His companion just smirks, teasing him for being a shut-in. But the kid suddenly panics, remembering the urgency of their situation. He desperately asks if the other children are safe, and the bleacher confirms they are, telling him to stand back as the fight begins. Theo scoffs at the idea of conversion, calling it nonsense. But just then Renta appears on the scene, prompting the zealot to tell a story of the past, a time he calls the Crimson Cataclysm, when the first red raindrop fell like a divine blessing, instantly turning him into a devoted follower. He warns Renta not to question his unwavering faith, but Renta counters, asking why he built a wall for the army. Theo reveals it was all part of his master's grand design, calling out the bleacher by his name, Renta. He accuses Renta of hoarding their master's blessings, and Renta admits he cannot question her will, yet Theo will not let him stand in the way of her wishes. Turning to Manny, Renta tells him to watch and learn. Manny argues that he cannot possibly fight the zealot alone. Manny smirks, saying a fighter never has to be alone with a good team, but he is not alone, fueled by the spirits of the wronged, an act Theo condemns as the ultimate blasphemy. Manny powers up his fist, calling Theo's higher will a sickness, and for a moment the apostle seems taken aback. As our boy presses the attack, demanding to know how this is justified, his words trigger a memory of the red-haired boy's horror. A vision of him running through a storm of raw power, then getting blasted back by an overwhelming force. Theo's voice echoes from the past, claiming all he did was offer grace, a twisted promise to end their fear by changing them completely. Back in the present, Manny crosses his arms ready to fight, and finds himself clashing with a corrupted version of that same boy, their powers erupting in a massive shockwave through the cavern, revealing a glimpse of the person the boy used to be. Manny realizes these fighters are on a whole different level, as Renta declares the spirits demand justice for Theo's crimes. With a wild grin, he prepares to give them a show, but Theo has had enough, crushing Renta's weapon with a gesture. This apostle then summons a massive sphere of destructive energy, which the bleacher counters with just one hand, lifting it effortlessly. In an instant, Renta closes the gap, grabbing the zealot by his collar, and slams him hard into the cavern wall with a taunt. He dares Theo to try and turn him into a monster too, their immense power radiating through the underground chamber. Manny scrambles for cover as the ground cracks beneath him, while Theo stares in shock, unable to comprehend Renta's strength, a power Renta promises will send him straight to their master. Suddenly, a single drop of blood falls onto the apostle's face, this first sign that the seemingly invincible zealot can be hurt. Theo believes this destruction is a divine sign, as Renta questions the defeated zealot, who declares his master is ready, revealing the monstrous being he fanatically worships. This horrifying truth sets both fighters on edge, while other Nephilim continue their relentless assault, and the ground itself begins to tremble violently, erupting in a blinding pillar of destructive energy. This shockwave shatters the very landscape, under a sky now weeping crimson rain. And from the chaos, a colossal Nephilim emerges. Meanwhile, a woman urges the children to stay inside their vehicle, where they worry desperately about Manny's safety. Their guardian reassures them that Renta is with him, but now they face a new threat left in Renta's absence, a powerful-looking combatant waiting in the downpour. A voice reminds the young fighter of his duty to protect the car, questioning if he is even capable of handling the task. But he furiously refutes the doubt, unleashing a shadowy attack. Proving his point, he tells his companion to just sit back and watch, though the older man seems to have a serious reservation, as another combatant appears in the distance, taunting the boy to step up his game if he wants to keep pace. A voice checks in on this new fighter, Dahlia, while the children inside the vehicle ask if she can continue. She confirms her resolve, ready for more action. Just as the other fighter senses a new threat approaching, a massive armored creature emerges from the crimson rain, and their companion warns that they are about to be swarmed. He scolds the two bickering warriors, telling them to cooperate for once. With no other choice, the rivals stand back to back against the horde. A white-haired fighter dismisses her ally as a hindrance, while in a nearby vehicle their guardian sighs at their foolish pride. A lesson begins on the folly of fighting alone, reminding them that even with the strength to win, victory feels meaningless without people to share it with. Back in the truck, the children fear for their lives, until their guardian offers a comforting gesture, handing a small pipe to one of the boys. Trying to be brave, the boy stands tall before the others, and his courage inspires them as they rally around Bo. Outside, a beast-like fighter struggles against an endless horde, while his companion questions why the Nephilim are swarming them. Suddenly, the ground begins to crack and rumble violently, alerting everyone inside the armored vehicle. This fighter calls out to Varen, demanding to know what is happening. Varen senses an immense and terrifying power approaching. His companion notes that the violent shaking is suddenly slowing down, while Dahlia realizes the swarming monsters have also vanished, leaving the two fighters confused on top of the truck, until a monstrous, gaping maw opens before them, revealing the colossal Nephilim from before, now towering over them all. These fighters are stunned, believing Renta had already destroyed that beast, but Varen clarifies from the driver's seat that this is something new. He explains the smaller Nephilim are combining with the larger one, a horrifying fusion that terrifies the children watching from inside, confirming the creatures are merging to increase their size. Just then, Renta returns, supporting a wounded Manny, who manages a smile, relieved to see his friends are safe. They now stand at the edge of a massive chasm, lowering the vehicle down, and Manny desperately urges Renta to get them out of there fast. Varen stares grimly at the approaching threat, a monstrous Nephilim with rows of razor-sharp teeth. He shoves his companion forward, telling him to save the others now, while another fighter carries an injured ally through the chaos. Varen is momentarily stunned by the escalating danger. As a new grotesque creature emerges from the rain, this young leader, however, signals he can handle this foe, earning a confident smirk from the older warrior. Suddenly, the ground beneath them gives way completely. Varen watches them fall, remarking on how fast they have grown. This red-haired boy cracks his knuckles, preparing for battle, rallying his team to face the horde together. Inside the truck, the children scream as their vehicle plummets. But their guardian calmly tells them not to worry, promising they will be fine as they fall into the abyss. Inside the vehicle, the children realize the violent shaking has stopped, as a white-haired fighter lands gracefully, having caught their falling transport. He rushes to the window, desperately checking if everyone is all right. Their guardian steps out, confirming they are fine for now, prompting the fighter to order him back inside so he can lift them to safety. But the older man refuses, calling this a necessary lesson in teamwork, an idea that infuriates his companion, who grabs him by the collar. This guardian calmly asks if he remembers why he joined their group at all. His younger ally furiously declares he will not let him gamble with their lives. A dangerous glint appears in the guardian's eye as he questions whether the fighter will coddle them forever. He forces a choice: let them grow strong enough to defend themselves. Reminding him of past hesitations when torn between two groups, a painful memory flashes back of him and another running from destruction, driving home the harsh lesson that he cannot save everyone. Varen impatiently cuts off his companion's lecture, who then looks up, sensing the powerful presence on the ridge. A dark silhouette confirms their worst fears: Theo Manberg himself. So the rumors were true, the famous Bleacher had joined the Apostles. Prompting Varen to secure the children inside the vehicle, he notes the enemy has grown bolder since the CCB was formed, but decides to stand guard here for now. His companion agrees, knowing he will join the fight if needed. While inside, a young girl worries desperately about Manny. On the battlefield, a colossal Nephilim roars, deeming the fighters unworthy, and blasts them back with a wave of raw, corrupting power. This beast-like warrior unleashes a desperate counterattack, only to watch in horror as it has no effect whatsoever. A pair of glowing red eyes watches from the darkness, but the sight of blood gives the fighters a flicker of hope. This beast-like fighter realizes the Nephilim's core is at the top, but he rejects his allies' plea for teamwork, getting knocked away. Instead, he transforms, vowing to devour the beast all by himself. His companion watches in horror, yelling for him to stop, as the colossal creature's flesh begins to writhe and pulse. A grotesque tendril suddenly lashes out, ensnaring the lone wolf, who can only stare in disbelief at his own foolishness. Meanwhile, the red-haired boy falls, but Dahlia calls out to him, and he desperately tries to slow his descent down the monster's hide. He turns to check on his reckless companion, finding the beast fighter wounded but still defiant. This talking Nephilim roars in triumph, proving far too tough for them, prompting the young leader to grab his ally, insisting he cannot fight alone. Annoyed, the injured warrior shoves him away, rejecting the help, which triggers a memory of Renta's lesson on trusting your team. This red-haired fighter grips his sword, red energy flaring, telling his two reluctant allies they must work together now. A memory surfaces of someone who always fought alone, seeking a reason to trust. Varen's voice echoes, asking why they joined him in the first place. For Dahlia, it was to create a safe world for her younger siblings. This young leader demands to know everyone's reasons for fighting, while their beast-like companion just wants to eat cherries and punch Renta. A surprisingly simple goal the leader accepts. He then turns to Dahlia for her answer, but she bluntly refuses, dismissing their attempt at bonding as pathetic. Desperate, he grabs her arm, pleading for her to join them, until she suddenly notices her cheek is bleeding again. She grits her teeth, a familiar pain returning, as a voice from the past calls out, worried about her recurring injury, revealing a glimpse of the trauma hidden behind her mask. A young girl recalls being chosen by a destructive power, forcing her to drift between uncaring relatives after losing everyone, where she was treated as a burden with only fake kindness, enduring their false smiles across the dinner table, leaving her feeling completely isolated and alone. She bites her lip, holding back the pain. Finally, she decides she has had enough and just leaves, stepping out into the world as the crimson rain begins to fall, and catches a single drop in her hand with a curious gaze, convinced that what she truly wanted was out there somewhere. Eventually, she finds a group of survivors in a desolate alley, but she realizes the truth of her journey. It was not that she found them, but that they found her. A moment of genuine connection that changes everything. Now her new allies praise her strength as a bleacher, telling her she did a good job. An injured Dahlia stumbles through a doorway, clutching her arm. Her companion gasps, startled by her sudden appearance. She worries that Dahlia is bleeding again, pushed far too hard. A memory surfaces of a time when her friend's comfort was all that mattered. A memory now stained by a torn, bloody cloth on the ground, revealing the moment they were betrayed, her friend lying lifeless before her. Dahlia stares in horror, her face splattered with blood in the crimson rain, as she looks down at the one person she cared for. Her own hands are now covered in the blood of her fallen comrade, and a cold, hard resolve begins to form in her eyes. Just then, a mysterious stranger with an umbrella appears over the scene, as a different memory of loss begins to unfold. A white-haired fighter recalls refusing to forgive her own betrayers. But after her bloody revenge, she realized they were not the real targets. This true enemy was the organization hiding under the crimson cloud. Dahlia touches her cheek, lost in the painful memory. A sudden voice snaps her back to reality, as her allies are once again thrown back by the beast, a foe far too powerful to face without teamwork. This beast fighter scoffs, assuming she will not help them. But inside, Dahlia's resolve hardens into a fist. Her two companions are suddenly shielded by a strange energy, unleashed with the snap of a finger, and she speeds past them as they charge forward on a new mount. Together, the three of them scale the colossal Nephilim's body, prompting the young leader to ask if she is finally joining them. Wounded and grim, she pushes onward without a word, her mind flashing back to the warmth of her old team, a memory she grips tightly, fueling her fight. This leader then reveals his own reason to find something he lost. She admits that without her revenge, life is meaningless, vowing to reach the crimson cloud that took everything from her. Her two allies now understand her conviction, a new resolve hardening in her eyes. Their leader smirks, glad she is finally with them, and Dahlia turns, her decision finally made. Her companions cheer, fully energized by her commitment, a simple enthusiasm that seems to catch her off guard. But their leader cuts the moment short, asking if she is coming. Her hand extends, ready to join the fight, stepping forward as if she has any other choice. Their colossal foe roars, mocking their chances of winning, but they finally acknowledge they cannot win this alone. With the plan agreed upon, Dahlia leaps into action, creating clones to serve as a distraction for the beast. Meanwhile, a new rocky Nephilim rises from the ground, and the team's plan is to scale the beast to find its controller, believing a direct strike will end its rampage for good. Dahlia provides cover from below, her powers flaring, but the strain is immense, causing her old wound to reopen. She grits her teeth, insisting she will be fine, propelling her allies up the creature's massive form. These two fighters dig in, ascending the living mountain, finally reaching their target and preparing for a joint attack. Together, they unleash a powerful combined strike, ripping through its hide and exposing a glowing core. As they push forward, the beast fighter starts eating the Nephilim's flesh, revealing the true target nestled deep within the monster. His companion immediately asks if he should just eat this part too, leaving the young leader utterly speechless at his ally's simple-mindedness. This beast fighter calls his ally a fool for his simple plan, his eyes glinting with a more brutal solution. He unleashes his power, declaring they must be devoured completely. Stunned, the young leader demands to know what he has done, but his companion just casually eats the monster's remains. Frustrated, the red-haired boy clenches his fist, realizing with horror that their attack did not work. Their foe's body was just an empty husk, already merged with the beast. A terrible mistake the beast fighter now understands. Suddenly, Dahlia's body erupts in a painful surge of power. As the immense strain becomes too much to bear, she knows she has already pushed far past her limit, but a memory of the children she protects gives her strength. Vowing to endure any cost to keep them safe, she unleashes a devastating blow against the enemy. Her companion scolds her for taking on so much damage, while their beast-like ally struggles under a massive weight, calling it annoying. Their leader finally understands she has been taking their damage all along. He realizes she heals them by absorbing their wounds, then hiding the pain, but the bleeding on her cheek reveals the true cost of her power. This leader blames his own weakness for their past failures, his own blood-bending power only able to hold enemies for a moment, a power he now strains to use against the colossal beast. Ignoring her pain, Dahlia insists she can still fight on, just as the Nephilim's fist comes crashing down on him, but Dahlia unleashes her energy to intercept the blow. Forming a massive spectral hand to stop the attack cold, straining, she holds the beast at bay, screaming for him to hurry up. While the leader is overwhelmed, the blood he controls is too heavy, yet despite the immense strain, they resolve to see this through together. Her eyes glow, vowing to accept any consequence. This beast fighter roars, unleashing his own power, while Dahlia channels a surge of raw energy, and their leader erupts in a final, crimson burst. This colossal Nephilim snarls at their combined might, opening its massive jaws for a counterattack. But their triple assault strikes its core like thunder, a devastating blow that tears through its body. Its rocky hide shatters from the sheer force, leaving the monstrous husk to crumble into pieces. Exhausted, the beast fighter collapses, cheering their victory. As Dahlia kneels, catching her breath after the immense strain, their leader turns to check on his allies, asking if they are okay. But his companion tells him to worry about himself. This boy suddenly realizes he cannot feel his own body. Cherry celebrates their victory with a double thumbs up, while their leader agrees, relieved that everyone is now safe. But his relief is cut short by a sudden, terrifying sound. Their defeated foe begins to rise once more, refusing to stay dead. This battlefield erupts, debris flying everywhere, and a colossal foot crashes down beside the leader, sending him hurtling through the air from the sheer force. He lands hard, completely stunned and wounded. As his companions realize they are completely screwed, this leader grits his teeth, knowing at this rate, even the survivors on the outskirts will be dragged into the chaos. He struggles to move but finds himself completely paralyzed. Knowing Dahlia and Cherry are just as drained as he is, yet they cannot let the true source of the power escape, a monster that absolutely must be stopped. This young leader lies defeated, filled with regret. His companion also down, cursing their failure, while Dahlia blames herself for not doing more. All three are united in a single, painful thought: they were not strong enough. Suddenly, a new voice praises their efforts, proud of what they have done, revealing a white-haired man approaching the fallen team. He tells them to leave the rest to him, declaring it is his turn to steal the show, and vowing to prove he is the strongest bleacher alive. This man instructs the trio to watch closely, promising a display of true power, unleashing an immense aura that fills the battlefield. He effortlessly manipulates the very ground beneath him, forming a colossal new golem from the debris, a terrifying display of a bleacher's true potential. Ignoring their shock, he simply tells them to watch. This very buildings begin to crumble and reform, leaving the leader paralyzed in shock at the display. A new spectral titan rises from the rubble. As the white-haired man explains the path to true power, he says one must first conquer their own self-doubt, a lesson he calls the next stage of evolution. This colossal Nephilim roars back, facing its new challenger, but the man simply calls his technique blooming, unleashing a blinding column of pure energy. His sheer power leaves the fallen trio completely stunned, as the attack engulfs their enemy in a brilliant flash, leaving nothing but a swirling vortex in its wake. With a casual wave, he dismisses their unspoken awe, telling them their part in this fight is finally over. Elsewhere, a wooden effigy begins to crack and splinter. In a hellish landscape, a voice echoes with disbelief, a demonic figure scoffing at the news of Manberg's failure, deciding a more direct approach is now necessary. She then flops back dramatically onto her beastly throne, but a thought from her companion gets her attention. She asks the beast what exactly it has in mind. But the creature remains silent for a moment. Suddenly, a cloaked figure appears, demanding to know her purpose here. His expression is grim and unforgiving, and the demonic girl mockingly asks if she should feel honored by his visit. But her tone shifts, asking if a certain rumor is true, questioning if he truly crossed the forbidden black barrier. He confirms a new candidate's arrival, questioning her sudden interest, calling her Lily and scolding her for being too kind. Reminding her that the candidate's fate is not theirs to decide, a cloaked villain orders his subordinate to stay patient, while his ally agrees to let their target play his games for now. Elsewhere, a pink-haired girl reacts to a sudden flash of light, as a dark power gathers over a desolate mountain. She grins wickedly, revealing her own plans are already in motion, a plot she enacted with her monstrous companion. In a dark vision, her bloody hand covers someone's face, taunting her victim for making someone cry again. This, she claims, is the price for lacking true kindness, and a single red eye snaps open in the darkness. This young leader wakes in a panic, confused and disoriented, finding himself buried under a pile of sleeping children. Unable to move, he notices his own blood-red hand, but the kids finally wake up, freeing him from the pile. He stares at his transformed arm, realizing something is terribly wrong. This first thing Manny sees are the worried faces of the children, who swarm him in a relieved hug, glad he is finally awake. His relief turns to panic, demanding to know where they are. A new voice assures him that everyone is safe and accounted for, explaining that both he and Cherry passed out from their injuries. This man adds they missed the trip to their new location, welcoming them to the Crimson Cloud Bleachers headquarters, a safe haven. Manny sits in bed, clenching the sheets in frustration, remembering Dahlia's constant struggle to protect everyone. His first question is about Cherry's condition, but his real concern is for Dahlia. This man explains she pushed herself too far, only passing out after seeing someone was safe, and Manny gently comforts one of the children, his face grim. After thanking the man Varen, he poses one more question, asking how their savior could kill an entire district with his power. Varen grabs a chair, posing a question to Manny, asking if he saw any actual people in that district. He reminds Manny that Theo Manberg turned many into Nephilim, but the truth is far worse, he turned every single person. This horrifying revelation stuns Manny and the children. Our boy shouts back, insisting he heard people there. Varen explains their savior's power confirmed the truth, a unique ability to draw strength from the souls of the dead. Those very spirits asked Renta to erase Manberg's work completely, a request he was more than willing to fulfill. Manny's mind races, trying to process this impossible power, remembering the battlefield and questioning if he truly heard spirits. He clenches his transformed fist, calling Theo a madman, a zealot who worshipped a dark entity as a goddess, and transformed himself into a monster he called a seraphim. Varen confirms their foe was one of the apostles. And now he warns that very group is targeting them. This new enemy wants to stop their mission at all costs, a shadowy cult devoted to the malevolent Crimson Cloud. He explains the apostles are a hidden, monstrous order, whose sole purpose is to oppose the Bleachers' work. Unfortunately, almost nothing is known about their true capabilities, as they operate from the shadows, leaving only tragedy. They have already laid waste to entire districts. Manny listens in horror, the weight of the threat sinking in. But Varen dismisses his panic, citing more pressing matters, like their official welcome party, much to everyone's confusion. Suddenly, they are in a decorated hall for the celebration, where their white-haired savior Renta makes a grand entrance. Then another member, Thea, gets far too close for comfort. A woman's aggressive greeting leaves Manny utterly terrified. Varen then introduces Vesta, an army rep and their new cook, who immediately wins over the children by offering them cake. As they run off, Varen introduces another member, Ammon, but he vanishes in a flash, replaced by Poppy offering a welcome cake. Poppy suddenly panics, dropping the plate in horror, screaming that she forgot the cherry and must fix it immediately. Overwhelmed by the chaotic introductions, Manny just wants it to stop. He gets up, telling Varen this is no time for pleasantries, demanding to know the plan for dealing with the apostles. Varen tells him not to worry, reminding him of a more immediate problem, his thoughts immediately turning to Dahlia's condition. This man explains Dahlia held out just long enough to get here, but their doctors can only offer a temporary solution for her injuries. Manny sits in silence, staring at his own transformed hands. Crushed by guilt, Manny glares at his transformed hand, but Varen reveals they have a lead that could help. Admitting he is waiting for a heavy sleeper to wake up with the details. Furious, Manny shouts that his sister's life is on the line, but the man simply tells him to look around the room. He reminds Manny of his past struggles to protect his family, pointing to the children who are now safe and happy because of him, and asking why he'd rush to take this peaceful moment away. A gentle hand rests on his shoulder, a calming gesture, as Varen urges him to finally loosen up and relax. Just then, Cherry arrives with a slice of cake, and their new ally tells him he is not alone anymore. This is their new home, the Crimson Cloud Bleachers headquarters, and hesitantly Manny takes a bite of the cake, finally allowing himself a single moment of simple joy. This moment of peace is shattered by Poppy's strange celebrations, who lists off a series of bizarre anniversaries she has invented for them. She insists these are all very important, promising to make him a list. But a massive object suddenly crashes down from the ceiling, pinning Varen, who screams that the heavy sleeper woke up early. Poppy lets out a shriek of pure, unadulterated terror, while Renta is thrown to the floor, completely stunned by the impact. Even the aggressive Thea is frozen in a state of shock, and Manny instinctively shouts for everyone to scramble and protect the kids. In an instant, the entire hall is empty, leaving him utterly alone. He stands confused, wondering where everyone could have vanished. A crunching sound from under a table reveals a familiar wagging tail, but a muffled voice warns him to stay quiet and look away. Just then, the main doors creak open, revealing a dark silhouette, and a nervous sweat drips down Manny's face as he senses the arrival. A shadowy entity with red eyes emerges from the darkness. Suddenly, Manny is confronted by a monstrous smoke. His expression is a mix of shock and resolve. Demanding to know what this creature is, this entity looms over him, its presence overwhelming, and our boy readies himself for the inevitable clash. Its glowing red eyes narrow with malice, but Manny does not back down, his focus sharp. This creature lunges forward with incredible speed, a sharp pain assaulting Manny's mind. Pushing back, he fights against the shadowy assault, dodging its tendrils with surprising agility. His gaze remains locked on the target, shouting a warning as the smoke whips past him. Revealing the source is Cherry, who scolds him for being so loud. Suddenly, a terrified creature flees a shadowy entity, shoving Cherry forward and screaming for him to escape. As the beast turns back to confront its pursuer, it yells for the boy to save himself as the shadow strikes. But the dark smoke engulfs Cherry, who begs for help, and he struggles desperately against the suffocating darkness. This beast watches in horror as Cherry's arm hits the floor, left to plead for help amidst the lingering smoke. A hand on his shoulder stops Manny in his tracks. Varen confirms they have lost their friend, offering only a cryptic warning about the smoke's nature. He blames the party for attracting the unwanted guest, and Manny's focus shifts to the doctor meant to help Naomi, but Varen advises against a visit, explaining she is busy, leading our boy down a sterile hall toward her private floors. Varen sends Manny ahead to meet their savior, pointing him to check up room 1 with a stern warning. Taking a deep breath, our boy prepares to enter, his transformed hand reaching for the door handle. He cautiously peeks inside, calling out to the occupant, but a dark force erupts, throwing him back down the hall. Caught in the strange smoke, he struggles to get up. A voice from within the darkness calls out to him, revealing a hand with dark nails holding a cigarette. This owner asks if he is the one making all the noise, clearly annoyed at being woken up so early. Manny stares up in total shock at the woman, who glares down, demanding to know what he wants. He quickly explains it was an accident and he is looking for his sister, then thanks her for already tending to their wounds. Manny asks about the contact Varen mentioned, desperate for answers, and the woman introduces herself as Oz, telling him not to worry. But he is not convinced, pointing to the smoke monster behind her. A flashback reveals the team preparing to move to another district, needing an unconscious Dahlia to act as their guide. It is explained that she grew up in their destination, her allies urging her to hold on as they race to safety. Upon arrival, Renta was ordered to inform Oz immediately, who then assured Dahlia she could finally rest now that she was stable. A voice promised everything would be fine when she woke up. Back in the present, Dahlia's eyes flutter open. She is awake, though still dazed, in her hospital bed. Manny cautiously enters her room, finding her stirring, a wave of tension and fear washing over his face. He turns in shock, realizing his sister is finally conscious. A white-haired woman in bed asks about his condition, but her eyes suddenly widen in pure shock, seeing him as a terrifying, red-eyed monster. Manny is completely baffled by her sudden terror. As she panics, realizing her earrings are missing, he quickly denies taking them, suggesting the doctor did, and a tense silence fills the sterile room. Our boy looks down, a thoughtful expression on his face, but she clarifies it was not about theft at all, instead recalling how he protected them despite his own injuries. Her thoughts drift to him pushing his limits to save Naomi, and Manny simply smiles, offering his own thanks in return. His gratitude seems to catch her completely off guard. Her hands tightening on the blanket in front of her. Then his expression hardens, asking about his sister Naomi. Manny approaches his sister's bed, asking for her help once more, but the doctor bursts in, assuring him Dahlia is stable for now. She demands his full attention, explaining they have much to do, noting the strangeness of Dahlia's partial transformation as a wolf-like boy tumbles nearby. He scrambles to his feet as she announces a trip to see an old acquaintance. This acquaintance, she warns, is known to be dangerously unstable. Manny immediately questions the logic of seeking help from someone so unhinged, but the doctor simply exhales a cloud of smoke, completely unfazed. Her story reveals a researcher obsessed with Nephilim since the Crimson Cataclysm. This wolf-like boy must come along for study, and Dahlia is needed as a guide. Turning to Manny, she challenges his willingness to let others fight his battles. Varen suddenly appears, backing her up and putting the question to our boy. Just then, Dahlia starts coughing, trying to warn them about someone else. This doctor rushes to her side, insisting this is another reason they must go. Dahlia glares as the doctor reveals their contact has already cut communication. Varen reveals the apostles are using strange new tech, but Thea fiercely denies that Judah would ever betray them. This leader explains he is sending Manny to confirm the betrayal. And our boy grips his shoulder, accepting the mission. Varen will stay behind to finalize army dealings, leaving Manny with a heavy burden on his shoulders. He then asks the doctor if Naomi should come with them, but she snaps her cigarette, giving him a final warning. Naomi is her patient and hers alone. Stunned, Manny stammers he only needs the Nephilim research. While Varen watches the doctor's possessive declaration, he claps, announcing a small team of 4 will be going. Then quickly corrects himself to 5 members for the mission. Suddenly, Poppy bursts in, joyfully declaring she is joining them too, much to Manny's horror as she plans their first road trip. Manny is certain this road trip will be the death of him. Elsewhere, a hooded man rejects an offer to stay, insisting he has no place there. Reluctantly agreeing, he reveals a strange symbol etched into his palm. Then he is sent back to District M in a burst of energy. Back with the mission team, the remaining group is told to stay safe inside, and a red-haired man promises the children they will be okay. Their protector, a muscular man, boasts he is the strongest bleacher around, but then he flees with the kids, yelling about a monster even he cannot handle. Our boy watches this chaotic display with a completely deadpan expression, as a purple-haired woman tells him not to worry and to hurry back. Manny thanks her Vesta, but she quickly silences his protests about her involvement, declaring that helping children is the duty of every adult. A flashback shows her long-held concern for kids in the contaminated zone, and she admits with a smile that she missed having them around. Her heartfelt conviction leaves Manny completely speechless. Naomi listens with a heavy heart, and Manny promises it is a short trip for information, asking him to protect the others while he is gone. She suddenly pulls him into a tight embrace. As the rest of their friends watch the heartfelt farewell, Poppy breaks the tension, telling everyone to stop crying, but someone is suddenly grabbed by the scruff of their neck. It is the driver, yanking the wolf-like boy into the front seat. A sudden realization hits Manny with full force, his face breaking out in a cold sweat. He is trapped in the back, sandwiched between Poppy and Dahlia, and their driver warns them they are entering a dead district. Their vehicle speeds through the wasteland, undetected for now. A map revealing their destination deep inside District M far from home, Manny steals his resolve for the mission ahead. In the car, Poppy presses Manny about his Crimson Cloud blessing, and he hesitantly reveals his ability to control blood to some extent. With a bright smile, she proudly announces she can read minds. Patting his head, she promises not to invade his thoughts except to learn he loves cake. This specific detail leaves our boy completely stunned. Poppy then reveals she can also sense Dahlia's anger and envy, but whispers to Manny that she knows Dahlia is kind deep down. This wolf-like boy's stomach rumbles for a Nephilim, but Oz sternly tells everyone to stay alert. Clarifying this is not a school trip, a concept Poppy finds entirely new. Suddenly, the wolf boy screams for help, grating on Manny's last nerve. They arrive in the desolate District M, a place destroyed by Nephilim and bleachers. Their vehicle carefully winds its way through the mountains of rubble, but the path becomes impassable, forcing them to continue on foot. Stepping out, Manny takes in the absolute destruction around them, his gaze falling on Dahlia as he realizes this wasteland was once her home. Manny surveys the desolate ruins where she lost everything. Dahlia is tasked with finding the old hospital, and she points the way as Poppy cheers for their adventure. This team questions if anyone still lives here, but she confirms it, her unsettling calm striking a nerve with our boy, until Poppy's expression suddenly shifts to pure alarm, shouting a desperate warning about a threat from behind. He spins around, power flaring as his eyes glow red, unleashing his energy on a ghostly creature that materializes. His attack connects in a violent burst of crimson light, leaving him stunned as the entity seemingly vanishes into smoke. Realizing there are more, the group prepares to push forward. While elsewhere, a lone man patrols a derelict hospital corridor. His tracker buzzes wildly, showing multiple hostiles closing in, and he wonders why Dahlia would choose to return now.